Hey, welcome back. All right, so in the last tutorial, we set up a kind of a play area, and I showed you different ways you can set the platform up. And I used both the volume automatic and also the player interactive versions of the moving platform to be able to do that demonstration. So one of the issues with the volume automatic platform was that because of the way we're using a Boolean, a true false Boolean, it doesn't allow you to have overlapping volumes. And even if you move from one volume to another volume, the ones that were in that first volume, the platforms don't stop moving if you get to the second volume before these platforms stop moving normally. So as long as that Boolean says true, you're inside of the platform area, then they will keep moving no matter what, unless you have a far enough distance apart between the two, and these have a chance to stop moving before you get to the other platform area. So we're going to fix that so that it doesn't matter. You can be in whatever volume you're in, and once you're out of one volume, those platforms, after they're done with their cycle, will stop moving. All right, and also there's another issue which I'll demonstrate once we get kind of a demo area set up. So let's go ahead and jump into it and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Oh, and before I do that though, I am going to walk you through this like a kind of like a troubleshooting process, because I want you to be able to understand the process of how I got to where I did, from having a solution that works but not the way we want it to a solution that works the way we want it to. And I'm going to lead you through that troubleshooting process so that you understand how that works and the different methods that I use to be able to resolve problems or change things. Instead of just giving you the here's a node, here's a node, here's a node, boom, it works, and then we move on to the next thing. So this tutorial is going to be a little bit longer than normal. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's jump into it. Okay, so here is the play area. This is what we set up last time. I've got the solution solved for these and everything works the way it's supposed to now. But I also have the demo platform, the automatic volume platform here, so that we can recreate what's happening and then walk you through the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a kind of a test area first. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to find my BP platform area. I'm going to drag this out, drag it up. We're going to scale it. So I'm going to uncheck the little lock, make sure it's open. And we're going to scale it 20 by 10 by 10. Then we're going to lift it up. Nope, not down, up. So it's kind of like that. Okay, so now I've got one area set up. Now that we have the platform in the area, though, we're going to go ahead and click on Edit in Blueprints, and then the blueprint will open. And this is what our blueprint should look like right here. Now, we want to be able to make it so that we can see this platform area, so this area right here, while we're doing this testing. So go ahead, please follow along with what I'm doing, and we'll get to the solution. Like I said, I'm going to lead you through it. So make this volume, and then what we're going to do is, with that blueprint selected, we're going to select on the box interact area down here. And then up here at the top, we're going to type in hidden. So HID will work fine. And we're going to uncheck hidden in game. And we're going to compile and save that. Now we're going to go back into the sandbox. I'm going to select that box again, hold the Alt button and drag it over, and have a little bit like a square or two gap in between the two so we can move quickly from one to the other to test this out. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need are our platforms, right? So now I'm going to go to my content drawer, find my test platform, and that's this one right here. And I'm going to click on the spline. So right here we have the center point of the spline, and then we have the end spline right here. I'm going to select that end spline. I'm going to drag that out so that it just goes straight out. That way we can see this and see how it works. And it doesn't matter if it goes outside the box. I'm going to select my platform again, and I'm going to hold the Alt button and drag it over so that I have a second one in that other volume. All right, Now let's jump into our outliner so that we can more easily select these BP volumes. You can also try to select it here in the scene just like that. Sometimes a little tough, but if you go to your outliner, you can also find it as BP platform area, and then whichever one it's supposed to be will be highlighted yellow. This is mine. This yellow is area 2. What I need to do is I need to assign that platform to this volume, because remember we have them assigned so that if I go into this volume, this platform will move. If I go into this volume, that platform will move. So I'm hit the plus right here where it says actor for the array, and then I'm going to hit the down arrow, or I can hit the down arrow, or I can use the eyedropper. I'm going to select the appropriate platform. Then I'm going to try to select that box over there and do the same thing. Select the appropriate platform. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Do a file, save all, just to make sure. And I'm going to hit play. Now I should be able to go into that scene, and for some reason my platform is not showing up. So I'm going to hit escape real quick, go back to my platform area. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way to the top level one too. There's another one here called actor hidden in game. I'm going to uncheck that one as well. I don't know, it should have been one or the other, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be working. So I'm going to hit play. All right, that did it. So now I can see the box, and I can also see my platform. So if I go into the box, the platform should move. And it does. All right, so here's the issue that with the move. When it comes back, I'm going to move out of the box, and I'm going to move back into the box. And you can see that if I do that enough times, it'll just keep moving back and forth. So what's happening is when I move into the box and out of the box, it will reset. So what happens is it's calling whenever I move back into the box. So right here, if we take a look at our platform area, when I overlap with this box, this platform, it calls the start move platform every single time, and there's no check. It just automatically calls it and causes the platform to move. So if that platform had a longer distance to move, or took longer to get there and I had more time to show you, so I could actually do that. Let's go ahead and make this like 10 seconds. Okay, I'm going to start my delay at 1 second. My restart at like 3. We can do the same thing for this one over here. All right, I'm going to save it. So I can demonstrate this just a little bit better because I'm not sure it was clear what we were having problems with. So if I go into this box here, it starts. If I go out of the box and then back in the box, out of the box, see how it calls it? And now that, because there's a delay, kind of does weird stuff. But anyway, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It moves back and forth like it's not supposed to do. We want it to move all the way to the end and then stop and then be ready to move again. So that's because, again, we don't have a check. We're not checking to see if it's already moving. It's just allowing it every time we move in and out of that volume. It's calling the event start move platform. The move platform is being called, and it's doing it without doing a check. So like we did with the interactive platform, we need to set up a Boolean to see if the platform is moving. So over here in variables, we're going to hit the plus button, and we're going to just do a check for is moving. We're going to drag this out. We're going to set it. And basically, because what we're going to do is we're going to set it. If it's finished, it should not be moving. So this should change is moving to false. Now, with it selected, if I hit Control D, I can get it again. And with it moving here, updating, so as it's updating, we're going to say, yes, it is moving. So we're going to connect this up here. So now we set a Boolean to say when it is moving and when it isn't moving. And That's probably the very first check we want to do before anything else happens. There's no reason for anything to happen if we're not going to let it happen when it's moving. So let's go ahead and pull isMoving out, and we're going to get isMoving. We're going to get a branch. And when it's not moving is when we want all of this to happen. Okay. And I'm going to grab this, and we're going to end up needing more space. So I'll put it all the way over there. We'll compile it. Now let's test it real quick to see if it works. Platform starts to move. I leave. I go back in. Remember, there's a little bit of a delay, but it is not doing anything unless I'm inside the box. Now the other problem, okay? The other problem is if I leave this box and quickly go over here, this one will start to move. But because I've left that volume and immediately went to this volume, the volume, the platform itself, when it's doing its check, thinks I am still in that same volume. So they're going to keep moving whether I'm in that volume or not. If I leave, they should stop. And they do. So that's what we need to fix. So let's talk through about exactly what's happening, okay? Again, here in our platform area, when we overlap into the volume, that big space right in here that we created, this yellow box right here, inside that box, when we overlap that volume, it says, yes, you are the player, and then it sets that I'm inside that volume, and then it calls the start move volume, the start move or start platform move function. And this is where we have those actors assigned as an array, okay? So as an array, I don't know why it closes everything up, but as an array, we can assign multiple platforms to it. The platform then says, okay, you called start move platform. We have this function here called move platform. It calls it, and then it does that check, is it moving? And then it does everything along here. And then at the very end, when we're done moving, right here it says move platform, right? It calls that function again after delay. So what's happening is that we are able to move from this volume to this volume. This is saying, yep, you're in a volume, so that's true. It doesn't matter which volume. And so when I move from here to here, it's still true. I'm in a volume. And then when the platform gets called, it comes back over here. Nope, I'm not moving. Yep, the player is nearby, and so it does it. So we are passing this volume even though we're not in the right, we're passing this to be true even though we're not in the right volume. What we want to have happen is we want to have so that when we're in this volume, only the platforms in this volume move. When we leave that volume and go into another volume, we want these to stop, and we want this one over here to start moving. We want these to start moving. So how are we going to do that? Well, we have several different tools available to us, but the one that I kind of landed on was realizing that everything in our game has a name. When we stick it here into the world, we may create the BP platform area. So we may have created this volume area. So this little box, right? When I go to the viewport, stop messing with me. This little box right here, right? And then we made it into this big box. So everything has a name, BP platform area. But when we stick it into the world, if we take a look at our outliner, everything gets a new name. Okay, and this is the display name that the game sees. So for this one that I have selected, the BP platform area 2, it has the 2 after it. This one is area 3, so that's its name. So they have unique names in the game, because even if it's a repeat name, then it starts to add numbers at the end, and we can see I've done that in several places here. So everything has a unique name. Even the platforms have a unique name. When I go to this here, you can see that I have this one called demo, and then demo 2, and then the regular auto platforms have these numbering systems here after it. So that we can use. So if we know that we're in this volume, how do we get that name? So if we're in this volume, there's got to be a way to get the name, the display name for that volume. There is actually. So if I go to my player, I already have it kind of set up, but I'm going to disconnect all this and we're going to go through the process of setting it up again bit by bit. And we'll come back to this piece here later, but right now I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this. What I want to start off with is this right here. Okay. So my event actor begin overlap. And the way you get it is you right click and you can type in overlap. Okay. And for overlap, we want the event actor begin overlap. And if I click it, it highlights it right there for me. Okay. Cool. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to see who we're overlapping with. Right here, we have this other actor that's going to tell us who we're overlapping with. So if I drag out from there, we can see what the name is. So if we type in display name, we can get display name as a utility right there. And it outputs a string. See, the return value is a string if I hover over this. Great. So let's go ahead and test that. The way we can see that is we pull out from here. One of my most used nodes is print string. Print string is this little string right here. If I hit the down arrow, which I'm going to do, we can change a few things. We can print a string, print it to log, which it also will print this to our log, which is this output log down here. We can say what color we want it to be. I usually leave it to light blue. I'm going to change this to 5 seconds here so that it stays on a little bit longer and I don't worry about a key for it. Okay, and then I'm going to take my return value and I'm going to plug it in here. I'm going to hit compile. I'm going to save it. So now if I go back into my scene here, what's going to happen is up here in my left-hand corner of my screen, we're going to see that little, whoever I'm overlapping with, the display name will pop up right there. So if I hit play, okay. Now if I go into this one here, up in the left-hand corner by my health name, I'm overlapping BP Platform Area 3. This one's BP Platform Area 2. And in fact, anything with a volume, so if I go over here to where my cannons are, into the cannon firing volume, you'll see that the cannon firing area also pops up. Same with any door. So anything that has a volume that I can enter into, I'll get the name on it. Anything that I can overlap with, I will also get the name on it. Okay. So that means we now have the ability to see who our player is overlapped with. Well, okay, what are we going to do with that? If we think about it, if we know who our player is overlapping with, we can tell where our player is in the game. So if our player is overlapping the whole time that this player is in here, is overlapping with this, and I can see that from my player overlap here, then I should be able to do a check. Get back over here. I should be able to do a check to see if the platform that should be moving is also in that same volume. So this volume right here, right? How are we going to do that? Because when we take a look at this volume, we only have the platform assigned to it. So the platform is assigned to it, but the platform doesn't know. If I click on the platform doesn't know what volume it's in. So the actual movement blueprint, the functionality of this platform is here in its blueprint. There's no reference or no way to reference this volume. Even though the player's in it, we can't really reference this. We can reference it through the player, but what we really want to do is we want to do a check. We want to see if this platform is in the right volume and the player is in the right volume, then this should be able to move, right? So that leads me to think, okay, if I can check those two things and make sure that they're the same, that the platform's in the right spot and the player is in the right spot, I should be able to do a Boolean in equals and check to see that they're equal. And if they're equal, and if that's true, then I should be able to say it's true and allow my functionality of my movement to happen. Okay, so how am I going to get the name of this available for my platform? Well, we could cast to. So there's such a thing here. If I go in here, I right click and we type in cast to BP underscore, and it's called platform, right? So if I do all that, you can see there's actually this thing that allows me to cast to my platform. I don't really like doing that, and we're not going to use this method, but I'm talking about it so that you know that there is a way to cast to. And in fact, that's really what we're doing with our player right here. Remember, this is a BPFL, so it's a blueprint function list. And what we did inside that blueprint function list is we cast to our player. But here, once we put it in a function list, it makes it so that we can reference it in any other blueprint. But I don't need everything about that player. I only needed is the player nearby. What this does is if I reference to this, it pulls in everything that has to do with this blueprint into my volume blueprint. Also, this can fail if there are some issues. And a lot of times you'll see that because this doesn't exist in the world, or it doesn't exist in the world at the right time, this will instead fail and won't allow our platform to cast to it. So instead of using this, there is a better way. What I like to do, and we've seen it, we've already done it, okay? In fact, as I'm talking about it, if we take a look at our BP platform area, right over here we have a variable where we set up an actor, and we said, okay, actor, we're going to assign actors that you can control. So whenever we call this, we've assigned the actors to this because they already, because they have this function in it. We can call this function to those actors that we've assigned to it. Like we did here, we have this actor assigned to it. So now we can actually share or command information from it. So the way we can do that is if we select our platform, okay, right now our platform doesn't have anything like that to it. So if we go into our platform here, what we can do in order to be able to get this communication to start happening is we could assign a volume. So we can assign in the game a volume to this platform. So I can make it so that this volume belongs to this platform, just the same as this platform belongs to that volume. And when we assign it to a volume, like we did here, it'll get a name that we can use. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the plus sign over here. And for the variables, we're going to call this assigned volume. So that way we know what the assigned volume is, and we gave it a name that we can clearly understand. And we're going to change it from a Boolean to an actor. And when we type in actor, we get this choice here at the top, this little yellow one next to it. If we hover over that, we get 4 more choices. We're going to select object reference, just like we did before, except we're not going to turn this into an array. We're going to leave it as a single variable instead of an array, okay? We're going to open the eye. We're going to compile it. Now I'm going to grab this assigned volume, and I'm going to get it. Now, before we go any further, actually, let's go ahead and finish this up here, and then we'll talk about it, okay? The first thing we need to do is we're going to make sure that this is a valid assignment. Okay, so I'm click up here, and what I am going to type in is valid, and we want the one with a question mark. We've used this in the past, but what this is doing is making sure that there's actually a name or something assigned to this volume here. So from the false, I'm going to plug in execute. And then if it's valid, well, we'll leave that empty for a minute, okay? So if it's valid, then it's going to, in this case, we're just going to print string. because we want to see what its name is first to make sure that this is correct. We're going to do a print string for troubleshooting. Again, I'm going to make this 5 seconds. Connect that up. Now, because this is an assigned volume, and the assigned volume will have a object assigned to it, and we know that if that object that's assigned to it is in the game, it's going to have a display name. So what we can do is we can pull off from assigned volume and type in display name. And it's a utility again. We want the same one. And we're going to plug that in to the print string so we can see what the display name is to that thing. We're going to compile it and save it. Now we're going to go back into our sandbox. Okay. The reason why we made sure that we're assigning is valid to the platform is because if I click on the platform, now we have an assigned volume. This actually requires something to be assigned to it. The difference between this one and the one we use for our platform area array is, if I click on this again here, remember when we first went in here, we can add arrays to it, but it starts off with 0 arrays. There's nothing actually assigned to this, or there's no requirement for there to be anything assigned to it either. So it doesn't fail necessarily, but this one, if we don't have one assigned to this one, it will fail and it could actually crash your game. So we need to make sure we assign something to it. Now, because here, so let me go back into our volume here. Right here, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to make sure we assign something to it, but we're doing a valid check. If it isn't valid, it won't crash because we put this little check in here. It just won't do anything. But what we can do is if it says not valid, we can type in here and type in a print string again. And for this, where it says hello, we're going to type in no platform assigned. Okay. And again, I'm going to make this one stay up there a little bit longer. 10 seconds. We'll compile it and save it. So let's go in and test this out and see if this worked. If I hit play, nothing's going to happen, okay, until I actually go into the volume. And when I go into the volume, it says no platform assigned. So we know that our valid check is working and the game didn't crash. So we're good. So let's go ahead and assign some platforms. Or actually, I shouldn't have been, I think I named that one wrong. Should be no volume assigned because we don't have a volume. It's a platform with a volume. That's why it didn't make sense. Compile, save it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and assign the volume to it. So with it selected, we're going to select the little eyedropper, and I'm going to try to pick the platform area 2. And we're going to do the same thing with this one over here. Platform area 3. All right, we're going to save it. Now if I hit play, what should happen is the name that my ball it goes into for the volume should match the assigned volume for that platform. All right, so it does, and the platform moves, okay? So what's happening here is, let's take a look at it. In the platform area, I'm overlapping it. This is the object that my player is overlapping, and it's commanding, after it sets that we're doing this, which we're not going to need here shortly, it's then pulling this function saying start move platform. So when it starts move platform, it comes over here. We get the move platform. It says I'm not moving. It does this volume check to see if it's valid. And that's when it calls up this print string or this print string. So it does, if it's valid, it says, okay, who's assigned to me? And that's where we get this information here. And then it completes the rest of this. All right. So far, so good. Now, there is one little thing that may occur that we need to make sure doesn't happen. And I may have accidentally left this sticking in here, but we want to get a delay in here. So I'm going to delete. Yeah, that delay is in the wrong spot. So I'm going to delete that delay. All right. So we're also going to put a little bit of a delay in here because sometimes this assignment doesn't happen right away, especially if there's a lot happening in your game. So when we go to do our Boolean check, we want to make sure we give it just a little bit of a pause to do a check. So we're going to go ahead and put a delay in here on this side right after this. And we're going to leave it at 0.2. It's fine with that. And we don't need to set a variable up or anything for that either. So we should be good. Now we know that our player is in the volume and recognizes that it's in the volume. And we also know that our platform is assigned to that volume, and we can get the display name for both of those. So what we need to do is we need to bring those two together. Now, the easiest way to do that is, since our player is already in the BPFL and it works for us because it's set up as a player object, we can, and I'm going to go ahead and right here where it says PlayerNearBy, we're going to delete that. I'm going to bring this branch back this way just a little bit. I'm going to grab this and put this over here, and we'll come back to this in a second. Let's jump back over to the player because we have to set up the variable that we're going to pull. So we're going to go to the variable, and so I've already created two of these, but we're going to create one real quick, okay? What we want is we want a string. So if you hit the variable button, type in the plus button, and call it CurrentOverlap, like I did here, CurrentOverlap, or you can just call it overlap, and _0. And the numbers really are arbitrary because it may get confusing later, but it just gives us the fact that we have the same variable with two different numbering systems after the end of it. And then change it to a string. And then open the little I up. Okay. And then once you've created it, it should look like this: CurrentOverlap _0. And it should be a string with the I open. Compile it and save it. Okay, and then we're going to click and we're going to drag it out. And whoops, we're going to click and drag it out, and we're going to set it. Okay. And what that should look like, I'm just going to go ahead and put it here. And we're going to set it with this display name right here. We're going to use that display name we've got. Should look something like that. Okay, let me double check, get display name. Okay. So now we've got this set. We have a variable down here called getOverlap0. So let's go back to, let's compile it and save it. Go back to our BP volume platform, and we have our player, right? And if you don't, remember, we can right click, type in get player, and that would be under our BPFL function list that we made in a previous tutorial. You should have that. So you just grab it up from there. And then from here, we're going to drag off, and we're going to type in current. So we want to get current overlap, and we got it right there. What we want to do is we want to see if the display name equals this name here. So I'm going to drag that out, put it down here so it's out of the way. So the equals that we want, I'm going to drag out from this one because it's on top. And I'm going to just hit the equals button. Under string down here, we want to equal exactly string. Okay, you have other choices, but in this case, we want it to equal exactly, so that we know that we are in the same string name. I should have 3 equal signs after it, just like that. Now I'm going to drag it up and plug it in there. I'm going to compile it and save it. All right. So what should happen is it should get the assigned name. It should get the variable that we just created here in our player. From here, when a player overlaps, we created this variable. And it should do a comparison. And if they are the same, then it should allow this all to happen. So let's go in and see if that's true. Go in here. And it starts to move. Now let's test this. If we go over here, and I'm in this variable now, or in this volume now, this one should move. that one over there should stop and not move anymore. But this one, since I'm still in here, should move back. Now, if I go over here, this one should move. That one should stop. And this one should move and keep moving. And it does. Now, if I leave, it should stop and not come back. But it does not. So what is happening? And it probably will move again. And it does. So we're clearly not in the volume, but it's still going. And in fact, if you look in the left-hand corner, you'll see what it's checking. It's saying that it's got the right variable name. So what is happening is here we set the variable, and whenever we move from this volume to this volume, it reset the variable. But when we leave the volume and don't enter into another volume, so there's no new name to assign it, it just leaves it at whatever the last variable name was. And the way to check that is, let's go ahead and set that up real quick. Okay. So if we go back into Player right here, so I created a little button, the end button, and then I did a print string. And we're going to go ahead and check the second one in a minute, but using the end key. So if you right click and type in keyboard, or just key, the little top one right here with the SS, if you hit that, and then click on the little keyboard here and hit the end key, it will set it so that this will be the end key. See, I clicked the left mouse button, so it assigned the left mouse button to that. So I can select it and delete it. All right, so once you have the end key, and the reason why I'm using N is for name, it could be whatever key you want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and type a print string. So just like before, print string, right? I'm going to connect that up. And then over here, I'm going to get current overlap. So if you pull it out and get it, connect that up. Okay. So now if I compile, we go back in, let's test that real quick. If I go into here, and I hit the end key, it shows that I am in platform area 2. And of course, that one we only set for 2 seconds, so it's going to disappear. But now if I just leave, I hit the end key, it still thinks I'm in platform area 2. So that's what the problem is. All right, so how are we going to fix that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Player, and we're going to, if you right click and type in overlap again, and where do you want event, action, and overlap. Okay, this one right here should look like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually get what the player is overlapped with. So once we leave, see if I can explain this to you so it makes sense. But once we leave this area, so once we leave wherever we're overlapping, we want to rename that variable. But we don't want to rename that variable, this, what we just left. We want to rename it what we're actually overlapping with currently. So the way we can do that is we can right click and type in get overlap, okay? And we want to get overlapping actors on this collision up here on the top, okay? And it should look like this. Now, target is self, so this is going to be our player, okay? So we don't need to put anything in there. And we're not going to class. We could do a class filter, and we could put in BP, whatever our platform area is, so BP platform area, but we don't need to do that because we want to maybe have it assigned to anything that we're around. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone. But the output is an array. See, it's an array right here. We got this little square box with little boxes in it. That means it's an array. So before we can get a display name, we need to actually tell it which one we want. The way we can do that is we hover over it and drag. So left mouse click and then drag and type in get. and we're going to get a copy. See, under our array, it says get copy. And this one is assigned 0. So we want to get whatever first one that our player is overlapped with. And then from that, we want to get display name. And we're going to pull out our get current overlap to 0, set. There we go. We're going to plug that in there. Plug that in there. We're going to compile, save it. Let me make sure I did that right. We did. Okay. All right. And now if I hit play, I go in here again. See, up the top it says platform area 5 because I was in my platform area 5 over there. Now if I go in here, I'm in platform area 2. If I hit the N key, it tells me that's where I'm at. If I leave and hit the N key, nothing shows up. I don't have any assignment now. So what it's done is it's reassigned myself. It reassigned it so that I'm no longer in platform area 2. So now the platform stops. If I go back into it, it'll assign it again. N key, nothing shows up. All right, we've got that working so far. Now, there is another scenario. Remember, I told you that we should be able to set it up so that if I wanted to have a box inside of a box, so if I wanted to be able to have a different platform in here, so I'm going to take this box, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, move it back over again. We have a little bit of space between it. Inside here, I am going to drag in another platform area. And I'm going to make this like 7, 7, and 7. Something like that. So it's kind of big enough. But it's not so big, but it's overlapping inside this platform here. Inside this space. Now, if I go in and get another platform, drop it in here. This one I'm going to make go up and down. So with the base spline selected, I should be able to just do what I want to do. I was trying to be fancy, but sometimes just doing it the regular old way works best. So I'm going to go up 100 degrees in my Zulu, in my Z direction, and then I'm going to change this back to 0. And for some reason, that is not facing the right way, but I'm going to pull it up anyway. There we go. Don't know what it was doing, but anyway, hopefully this fixes it. We'll see. So the next thing I need to do is, remember, I need to assign to this one, I need to assign a platform. That was far harder than it had to be. And then for the platform, I need to assign the platform area. Now if I hit play, I go in here, I want that platform to start moving, but if I go in here and I hit the end button, I'm only in area 6, which is this volume here. Okay. What's going to happen is, but where I'm at, this one will go up and down, up and down, up and down. But the one that is also in the first volume has stopped moving because it no longer sees that I'm still in the same volume. I've kind of gone into this little ghost area inside of it. So the way we're going to fix that is we're going to set it up so that we can have 2 variables that we're going to set. And we're going to do an additional Boolean, which is called an OR Boolean. So inside the player, we're going to create the second variable down here. So current overlap underscore 1. And we're going to drag that out. and I keep doing that. We're going to set it. I'm going to select these here. I'm going to do a Control D to duplicate it so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I'm going to connect that up to that one right there. Down here, I'm going to drag this out again. I'm going to set it. So now I have this overlap 0, overlap 1 down here as well. And from here, I'm going to drag out. We're going to get, we could have just copied. I guess I should have done that. So we're going to get a copy. We're going to change this one to 1. So we're going to get whatever's in position 1 in the array. If there's more than one object, if there isn't, it will get none. Then we're going to get to display name. So I'm just going to duplicate that. And that display name is going to be assigned to this string here. I'm going to compile, and we're going to save it. Now, if we go to our BP volume here, what we can do is we can, from the player, we can type in current. If I type it in correctly, we might actually get it. Okay, and we're going to get current overlap 1. We're going to duplicate the equal sign. So Control D. I'm going to take the assigned volume and plug that one in there. And then I'm going to take this one and plug that in there. So now what we're doing is we're comparing overlap to the assigned volume here. And we're also comparing overlap 1 to the assigned volume here. And we're going to say that if either one of these equals the correct value, then do this. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use an OR Boolean. So if I pull out from here and type in OR, and we want the OR Boolean, plug them both in. We're going to plug this in up here for the condition, compile it, save it. Okay, so now what should happen is if I hit play, if I roll into here, the first platform will move. Now if I roll into here, this platform will move too. And if I hit the N key, it's going to tell you that I'm in platform area 6. This one should eventually move. There it goes. And I'm also in platform area 4. I forgot to, yeah. So let's go back here. I forgot to do one crucial thing to be able to make sure the N key is working. We need to do a print string with current overlap 1. Plug that in, compile, save it. Kind of hard to do verification when we don't set it up. So let's hit the play button. Try that one more time. So now if I go in here, I should be able to just roll right up in here. Everything should start moving. Now if I hit the N key, it'll tell you that I'm in both area 2 and area 6. So both of those will show up. And they will both move. And it's doing that wacky thing because I messed it up. But anyway. All right. So now we've got that all set up. So let's take a look at our volume demo here. Let's go ahead and clean some things up because we've got a lot of stuff happening in here that we don't really need. I am going to leave this on here. And we're going to just move it up here out of the way. Something like that. We don't really need this print string anymore because we know it's working, so we can bypass it or delete it. And then kind of close things in a little bit because we're way out there. Okay, so now we've got that all cleaned up. We can compile it and save it. And then we can go into our BP area here. So what we've done is we've removed from here that condition where we're setting to seeing if the player is nearby. We don't really need this anymore. Okay, so we can delete that and that. We can grab this, move it over here. plug it in. And we also don't really need to do this check either because we're not setting anything anymore. All we're doing is just leaving the box. So we can delete that and leave this so that it's set up just like that. And then if we take a look at the player, we've got everything all set up. Basically, I can just delete all this here because we did all that with this. And I can put this inside here. So don't forget, you can highlight it all. You can hit the C button to comment it, and then you can put a comment in there. For this one, I call this one call print string. This one I call it set overlap. This doesn't hurt anything unless you're going to use the N key for something else in the future. That's up to you. Now, this should work whenever we set multiple things in there. So let me do a real quick demo here. So here I have set up a little box where I have my larger platform area. I have a volume to fire my cannon. I have an overlap requiring my key, and then I have an overlap for my door. So all these inner overlaps I'm going to go in and out of, and we're going to see that happen, and I'll hit the N key as I'm moving through them. But what should continue to happen is this platform and that platform over there, which we can't see, should continue to move. And there's also a platform on the far side over there that moves that you're not going to see. But anyway, so if I hit play, this platform should start to move. That platform over there moves. So now if I go into the volume here, you can see I've entered into the BP cannon fire area. If I hit the N key, you see that I've got the cannon fire area 2. I'm in platform area 4, which is what's controlling those platforms there. I can pick up a key, my gold key. If I hit the N key, now all of that's happening. Now, one thing about the keys is because there's no exit, they're going to hang on until we go into another volume. And then this one, I can open this door up. If I hit the N key, you can see I've got multiple things happening, but all the time I'm still staying in all of these different volume areas, to include the volume area 4 at the top, so that my platforms will continue to move. You can see on the far distance back there, the cannon was shooting that one, and that platform is moving towards me over there. And once I exit all of that, the cannon will stop firing. But everything else will continue to move. And now if I hit the N key, the only thing that's assigned is platform area 4 because I've left everything else. Okay, that is it for this tutorial. Hopefully I didn't lose you. You were able to follow along with some of the things I was doing, and you can kind of get the idea of, as you're working through different concepts of how to make things work, thinking about the things that are available to you to use to specifically identify an object or an area that you want to move or interact with, things that you want to have happen. And then you can test them using the print strings, and you can move your variables between your player to the different platforms because of the BPFL that we set up for the player. And then also it gives you lots of different flexibility to be able to assign a specific objects to each other by using the assign actor like we did with the platform, and like we have done with the volumes, and like we did with the volume and the volume for the fire and the cannons and the various different cannons that we have set up. So again, if you have any questions, any problems, any issues, please put them down in the comments section to let me know what is happening so I can try to help you out. If you like this tutorial and this video, please hit that like button, help me out, and subscribe. I've got more stuff coming out. We're going to be working on making a world-aligned material so that we can get our stuff lined up a little bit better. We still got to make some pickups. We're going to need to make some portals so that we can move from one level to the next level. So don't forget to subscribe and follow along. I'll see you next time, and thanks for playing.